Fine. Welcome, everyone. I think what we're going to do, okay, before we get into our regular order, well, we got to wait for Tim because I'm sure he's going to want to talk. When he gets here, we'll bring it in, okay? The first order of business, okay, would be taking a look at the minutes, okay? Everyone has had an opportunity. Catherine, thanks for putting them out really timely. Okay?
Yes.
So we really had a chance to really look at them, okay? But, you know,
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
I second it.
okay. Let's do the financial report, okay? Catherine, I think you could start with that PowerPoint that has the financials, and put it up on the screen so everyone can see it. So that first slide. Let's start with the Chase account. Obviously, our opening balance, okay, from last month, okay, was $2,250,523. Okay, the new funding, okay, was $655,975. Okay, that amount reflects also the 0.5%. Some of, we don't have it, I have it broken down, but that amount, okay, represents the total, that 2.5%, some of it's 2.5, not all of it yet. Okay.
So it's partial.
The interest on that our Chase account was $4,072. Okay, miscellaneous expenses were there. You can see it was not, just we had some payroll expense. We had some abstract stuff that went back and forth. So the closing amount in that Chase account is $2,907,358. Okay, the New York Class account, the opening balance was $9,761,558. Obviously, we can see that the interest rates have really changed a little bit in a year from next to nothing to $41,407. Okay, so the closing balance, okay, is $9,802,960. What's behind, but below that, you'll see the WQI expenses. Their expenses for the month were basically up $150. WQI payroll was $1769. And so the total expenses were $1,919. Please, the cash balance of the $12,710,319. Okay. If you could go to the.
Let me just show you something. The header says 2021.
I don't know why you have that, but here, I have the current,
Just showing you.
yeah, it should have been this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The second page. Second page, which is.
So you and I have something.
Yeah.
And that's in the.
This is the page right here, okay? This is
We
basically,
have it down there.
well, the only thing with, I pull this out separately because I like it.
We don't have-
CPF, I think,
Don't have it. The back of the packet. Oh, okay, thank you.
Basically,
Thank you.
we started this a long time ago, back in 2016, okay,
Go ahead, sorry.
which shows basically the revenue stream from community preservation. The year to date at this particular time is 1,305,679. There's the totals from 2016 of where we've been. So we're at the 6-month mark, so it looks pretty reasonable to maybe expect that we may be equal to last year's, okay, in terms of revenue. The WQI, I've always kept that because of the way we were operating. Okay, so the year to date for WQI has been 3,810,583. We break out the expenses so that we know what we owe WQIP, okay? And so at this moment, okay, we're encumbered to pay out of CPF $3,191,652.
852.
52, right, okay. So, you know, the expenses that, based on the information that I have, okay, the expenses to date for WQIP is $618,930. So all I do on a monthly basis is just show the cash amount, which is the 12 million, less the WQIP. And last month, there was money that came in from affordable housing, which was 67,000. Okay, so that's how we came up with the 9,518,466. Okay,
So is there a typo here, Gordon, just to ask a question? No, it's 652 WQI on the blue highlight, and it's 8, am I reading this wrong? 852 on the yellow highlight?
where are you now?
Okay, so the blue highlighted field for total WQI ends in 652.61. Does everybody see the blue highlight?
Yep.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah, so if you go down a little to the yellow where it says less owed WQIP, it looks to be a different number.
Yeah,
You're right, it is.
yeah.
Is that actually
Slightly off,
a
yep.
typo?
That's what
typo.
Dewey mentioned also.
Well, that's the problem of doing things with spreadsheets. We always have human errors if we're always making.
It's much better to have.
But the concept is here is that since all the checks I've been told are going to be coming into CPF as a lump sum, I think how that breakout will have to be shown on a monthly basis, okay? So much goes into affordable housing, so much is going into WQIP.
Right.
So basically, our working capital is well, it's really not even, this is not even correct, okay? Because we have obligations, good morning, Tim. We have obligations that, we have a contract that's still outstanding with Nelson Pope for West Neck.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's not accurate, but it gives us an idea of where we are. I don't know where we are with the QuickBooks portion yet, okay? I don't know when that's going to be done, because we've been looking to get, we'd like to have our meetings show every month what we've spent on each individual parcel. You have it?
Well, no, not on parcels, but
We know what the expenses are on a monthly basis, but we don't have a breakdown, okay, in terms of what, what our physical, what we spent on a yearly basis. So here we're in budget time, and I still are, I don't have that, but I guess we're someplace having QuickBooks program put together.
I have to review that with Coco, and I'll confirm this week.
I'm sorry?
I have to review that with Coco. She's not here today,
Okay.
so I'll confirm that next week.
Okay. Any questions on this?
All of these numbers prove to,
Let me see what you're at.
I'm looking at the cash
At the-
disbursement.
Looking
I
at,
guess this is the town, this is the town's,
Yeah, this is,
they don't label it?
yeah, the accounts are not labeled, okay. I think for the most part, that amount there is really a payroll account, if I'm not mistaken. I've looked at them before. And
Well, it says electric height adjustable desk.
should Catherine put that up on the screen or not?
I don't know, I don't think you can, okay, but again,
This is Greek to me.
well, all the accounts have, you really have to go into the budget to see.
What these numbers
account is CP 9030, okay? But I think once we get our QuickBooks program up and running, it should be much clearer because the spreadsheet should show what our
Okay.
our expenses are and what was the payroll and certain components. But the other part is that we should see firsthand how we're spending money. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, last year I think our budget was for 90 some odd $1,000, okay? And we certainly didn't come any place close to that, okay?
What is,
These miscellaneous, it says Chase Bluestone, that was for the Nick Moorhead property. What we did there is we took the bench away, we poured a slab, and we put a bluestone topping on it so that they had something to secure
that's,
the fence from, okay?
okay.
Folks, any questions?
What about this? Can this be up there?
That can be up there, yep.
Catherine's, these next.
Obviously, there is a mathematical area here of about $200. The type of-
But typographical, not.
Right.
I mean, this really tells the picture of really, this page is really what tells us the picture of where we are, what kind of revenues we have coming in. The only difference is going to be, okay, is that the checks have to be separated. And I don't know how that's going to be done in terms of, because it's all coming in as a lump sum. So I don't think they separated. I think we have to do that manually. Okay, any questions here? Otherwise, can we get a motion to accept?
I move.
I seconded as amended.
The other piece here is that I don't know what the status of the audit is. Okay, I guess I will ask, since Amber is here and BJ, do we have any idea when we can expect to see that?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think, I thought Shelby answered the final questions that the auditor had. So we should be getting something soon.
Okay, it would be good to have the audit during the budget season because we don't, sheets that are printed out for the budget worksheets don't really reflect anything. So I'll discuss that with the board at the meeting, okay? Because what we're really looking for is it would be nice that we could see what we spent for legal fees and what we spent on individual properties. It gives us a written history later on in terms of what we've done. Okay, so I think that QuickBooks thing is, and I think you're doing the same thing for WQIP as I recall.
Yeah, Coco was working on that. She hadn't pulled me in, but she was going to when she.
I think by this next month here, this September, we'll have this pretty much in place.
The QuickBooks part,
Yeah,
that would be a Catherine question.
and the audit would probably
The
be,
audit
should be done.
Because I saw, things flying by on it.
Okay. So that leads us to the issue we have been dealing with, which has been the 23-28 acquisition plan.
Hey, Corey, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're here.
Audit, I have, now they talk at one of my departments. They are working their way around town. And I'd like to talk about the West Neck real quick. 'Cause if everybody saw, we went down Tim Walk property in front of us, and we mowed the mugwort. It looks good. We didn't really run into any problems. Tim had talked to Dan
Clark.
ahead of time. Dan came down, I think, and met you there.
Yep.
Talked about the quail and said it was okay to mow. So the main goal was to try to get rid of the mugwort and deal with that. But I would like to maybe expand on that and keep mowing a little bit because locust trees is growing that are taller than we are. And I'd like to
Yeah,
take care of that before it gets thicker because you had a heck of a time getting through that stuff.
I talked to Rusty Schmidt on Thursday. We had an hour-and-a-half meeting on Zoom on Thursday. We talked about the locust trees. And we do need to cut them back. The question is what we can do to them to keep them from going back.
I would like to keep mowing the whole property, if that's all right.
We can't mow the whole property because a lot of the other stuff, it's not terrible stuff, and it's being utilized as habitat. So if we do that, we're going to take away the habitat.
Can I mow the locust?
Yes, but let's talk about that because how you're going to mow it.
No.
But
There's no other way.
The thing is going to keep coming back. So we need to come up with a plan to keep it from keep coming back because eventually we don't want to just keep mowing that whole area, particularly in the summertime, because there's grasses in there and that's going to be part of the meadow. So we need to come with a longer term solution to the locust that keeps popping up. And one of the solutions may not be palatable. It involves painting the stumps with something, like herbicide, to kill them.
The big stumps, or you're talking about these sprouts?
The little sapling.
They're all saplings.
They're getting big.
Oh, yeah.
They're all saplings and they need to be dealt with.
Yep.
But one of the methods that you use is you cut it back and then you literally spot treat it. You don't spray it, you spot treat it
Right.
with something and that gets rid of it.
And we can't do that now?
Well, that has to be a discussion, I think.
How far, I haven't been there since you mowed it. You only did that front section, is that what you did?
It's considerable how much was mowed.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good.
I mean, and I want to publicly thank Ken for being really careful and doing a good job.
Yeah, he was going slow. Well, he had to go slow, so thick.
Yeah, but he was,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just worried about down the road,
no, we can't just do the mugwort, focus on the mugwort. We've got all the other areas. And I hear you about, because Ken brought it also up, so let's just mow the whole thing. But right now you got bluebirds in there, which are utilizing it. There are a lot of other birds in that other section. And there probably are turtles in there. So I think we have to, and I did talk to Rusty about the other sections, and he was sort of afraid that we're going to try to do everything at once, but we do have to pay attention to other areas. And he had advice for that. And
So we haven't, he's looking to mow, we're looking to hold back. Now we'll go into the winter. In the spring, we won't be able.
well, we're not going to the winter yet. We have, let's slow down.
We have a lot of growing season.
We have growing season and we have animals in there. So we can't just go in there and cut all this back.
So when do you think that we will get in there?
We're gonna start, well, I mean, do you want me to go into this whole thing now? You want to jump ahead in the agenda?
It might be worthwhile, I guess.
Okay. All right, so the mugwort, we have three options for dealing with it. One is smothering it with either cardboard. You lay down sheets of cardboard, you cover it with the mulch that's already there, except it's not really mulch anymore. It's topsoil, pretty much. So you cover all that with a thickness of like this much to cover up the cardboard. And then the advantage is that when the mugwort dies back, you just plant directly into the cardboard. The cardboard just disintegrates, you don't have to do anything. Second option is, actually, Catherine, can you just hold up it's just this one, whoops, yeah, this one map image that I just want to. So the mugwort is all, this is where the pine tree is, I believe. The mugwort is all in here. It's one section. I shouldn't touch this. Mugwort also expands all the way around here, up to about here. And it's halfway.
I'm sorry.
And then it's halfway up, and there's a lot of trees in here, and the mugwort. So the mugwort essentially goes all the way across here. This is where I think the Christmas tree, the Christmas trees are. So it's on the edge of the Christmas trees. It goes all the way, it's all the way through here. That's all mugwort. So Ken mowed literally all of this and all of this. That was all mowed. So we have several ways of dealing with it. One is the cardboard that I just mentioned. Another is you get big tarps and you lay the tarps down, and it actually will kill the mugwort probably faster. Another option that Rusty suggested, which you may not want to do, is you borrow or rent a plow from Sylvester Manor, and you till up to 1.5 feet underneath, and you turn all the roots over and expose the mugwort roots. The fourth option is steaming, and Rusty will still try to get a price for the machine that does this, but you lay down a tarp, and then pipes are run in under the tarp, and they heat up the soil underneath the tarp, and it kills everything, including anything good, but there's not a whole lot of good in here. And that's instant. So the area that Brian is talking about is up around here. You've got all these locust tree saplings. So we have several problems here. One is we need to deal with this now. We're never, and I promised Brian and Ken this, we're never letting the mugwort grow to the height that it did ever again. Scott is my witness. So we need to cut this even flatter, because right now it's got stalks sticking out like this that would probably damage a tarp. So those are the 4 things we can do right now to start dealing with the mugwort, and we need to do it. We're not going to wait till the fall.
So you're just waiting for, a price for the steaming.
I'm waiting for the price for the steaming, but I imagine that steaming this entire area would be quite expensive. I did talk to Walter Richards, who has some type of steaming equipment, and he said it's really more appropriate for driveways and walkways, and it's not really appropriate for an area like this. And it'd be very expensive for Walter Richards to do it, but it's not appropriate for Walter. So that's one issue. Then the other issue that Brian is talking about, and it's actually not just here, it's also up in here, but we have a lot of locust saplings, which we need to deal with. So I would like to talk to a couple more arborists like Dan and Fred Hyatt to see, are there alternative ways of dealing with the saplings that would not involve brushing with an herbicide. That is one method, and that's what Rusty said he does. You cut it back to I guess this high or this high, and you paint it, and that's it. And then over here, we have a whole area, because I would like to not just be eliminating things, I would like to also move forward with some things. So up here, we have more black locusts, and there's no mugwort. And what we can start doing in the fall is removing some of the black locusts and planting. I have a source who grows oak seedlings, which he's trying to give away. And Rusty suggests getting like 100 of them, and you start planting them in different sections of the property to get them starting to grow, so that eventually the black locusts, some of which have already died in here, where the mulch is, start replacing some of the black locusts with more high-value trees like oaks, which are among the most high-value wildlife trees you can plant. There are also some rare trees in here, a white birch and some other trees, and there's some rare trees in here, but there are also some invasive trees here, like princess trees. A lot of seedlings are coming up, which we need to get rid of. So we need to focus on this because this is the biggest problem, but simultaneously, we can also start focusing on these other areas as we proceed from now through the fall. And as for all of this, the bluebird boxes are somewhere in here. We really, really don't want to mow all this. I walked through part of it, and there are some invasives in here, but mostly it's goldenrod and some other stuff, grasses. They're not bad things. And eventually we're going to be supplementing these areas with even better stuff, or more good stuff, I should say. And then spot eliminating by pulling or other methods, anything that's not good in here. So that's sort of the plan right now.
If you plant oaks, do you have a plan to prevent them from getting eaten by the deer?
Yeah, you can just put little fences around them.
Yeah.
You'll have to do that.
I think we should do the cardboard idea, because that gives sort of the big pile of mulch too.
You certainly have enough mulch.
Yeah, it would. I mean, my suggestion is actually to do several methods. I'd like to do mulch, but also try a tarp.
Yeah.
Just to experiment and see which one actually goes faster and is more successful. And use this as sort of a model for how to deal with this, and try a couple of methods and then see, okay, the tarp works this much faster, or the cardboard is easier because you don't have the tarp and you can plant directly into it.
And who actually does that?
That's something I need to discuss with Rusty. I guess what I want from all of you is just sort of, do you want to proceed with trying several of these methods? And then we work out the mechanics of how we actually get it done.
Yeah, I think,
And
otherwise we're just gonna be having the same discussion next.
yes, we are, a year from now. Or 6 months.
So is do we hire people to do that, or does Rusty?
I need to talk to Rusty. Is he going to come out and make a field trip and just show us how to do it? Will we do it with volunteers? Are we going to do it to pay somebody? We need to figure that out.
The thing with Sylvester Manor, where you turn the soil over, what's the downside of that? Does that work?
Rusty says it does. He's just did on, I think, one of his projects. But again, I just want to sort of really pin down exactly among several methods, is that a better method than the other methods? And obviously, if we do it, and we use a plow, let's say from Sylvester Manor, I assume we're going to rent it and someone has to drive the plow.
Right.
And, would you like to do that?
Why not?
So I would like to go forward and just talk to Rusty again about the sort of the mechanics of how do we make this happen?
With the mugwort, if you do the turning over, would it not also make sense to then do the cardboard on top of that? Because
You
you're
can ask that.
still gonna have the roots.
Well,
And
apparently
seeds.
you go 1.5 feet down, and you essentially take all those roots and you expose them to the surface.
Yeah.
That's the concept. But again, I can ask another 2 more questions, which is, does it really, how much success have you had? And second of all, can you then just cover it?
Right.
When they turn it up, do they just, they scrape the root systems and take it away?
No, you essentially, I guess you could. You'll have all this like,
Brian, have you done this before?
No, I mean, turning it up is, depending on what type of machine you have, is simple. What Sylvester Manor has.
I mean, Rusty kept telling me about a plow and then there's some kind of blade that you use with the plow that cuts into the soil and just.
It's a regular it's a farming tool.
It's a farming tool.
Cultivation where they
Yeah.
just try and turn the soil over.
Yes.
So what's wrong with using that philosophy and just getting, other than time frame, just, turning it up? I mean, I don't know why.
We can do whatever, we can go with everyone, I'm just presenting the options. And if you want to just try to do one of them, which is turning over the soil, I can talk to him again about that. I just want to know more information about how successful it is versus tarp and cardboard.
It seems like a long process with the cardboard.
Well, the cardboard is a longer process than the tarp. If you put a tarp down, apparently it works much faster. But then the problem is you have a tarp, and then you can't plant through the tarp. So you've got to put down the tarp, and people are going to say, what's that plastic doing in the lane?
So you don't cover the tarp?
No, you don't, as far as I know. I mean, somehow you pin it down.
That's a lot of tarp.
I think we need to look at, see what Philippa Manor has, because that's the easiest and least manpower wise and quickest.
Right.
To me, that sounds like the most reasonable thing at this point.
Okay.
And if they don't have it, I mean, there's other farmers who would,
I can't imagine they don't have it,
I don't know.
but I can talk to the farm manager and see exactly if they have the exact specification.
Tim, you don't have a preference which way to go.
Well, I don't, except that I think we originally talked about sort of using this as because we have many other properties in the island that have this problem, or all these problems. And so the idea was sort of using this as a potential model to figure out which method actually is the best. And, you may have some situations where you can't bring in a plow, or you don't want to, and you may have to smother. So I don't think it's a bad idea to, if you want to use one method as sort of a predominant method, we could do that, but then it might be worthwhile taking one section and trying a tarp and a cardboard just as an experiment and see how it works.
I think that's a good idea. Small areas of the other two, smallish.
Yeah, I mean, as long
I
as.
don't know what that would mean.
And then, to your point, Brian, yes, we do need to deal with this summer. But again, this is I think I need to find out if there are other ways of killing saplings without using herbicides.
The saplings, how big are they?
What do you think they're like?
Oh, yeah, they're big.
big.
They're
They're
big.
like this. They're about, this high or higher. But I cut a bunch of them down by hand last fall, but it's.
Is it feasible to do this by hand and paint?
I mean, you can go in there with some chainsaws and cut them down and then.
They're not chainsaw size, are they?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they are. I did it with a handsaw, but it's really time consuming.
I can imagine.
So if you brought the plow, if you did plowing to turn it over, you couldn't do it because the saplings are too big then? That's what you're really saying?
Different
You
area.
have to do, if you're gonna do something like that, you would have to do the same thing, try and mow it first, and then turn it over. The quickest, least manpower.
But can you mow those saplings?
Oh,
Really? Wow. Okay, I think what I need to do, Brian, first is just go in here and look at it all and see what's actually in there again. Because last fall, there was a lot of good stuff growing in here. And I hate at this point to cut, sort of throw everything out at once.
Well, can't you just put those like plastic,
Over the-
buy
over
something
the
at the
saplings.
nursery? Well, the good stuff I'm saying, which
Oh,
is
the
probably
good
less than the bad stuff, correct?
Well,
You're talking about
this,
the
I mean,
black,
this,
plastic black.
No, no, just mark the good stuff.
yeah, I mean, the problem is what we're sort of running into here is that you have a lot of sort of valuable stuff in here now. And then within that, you've got some bad stuff. So it's sort of having to go in and treat some of the bad stuff without,
Yeah, but so how are they gonna know what's the good stuff and what's the bad stuff?
because I will know.
So you compare.
I mean, the great thing about getting rid of all of this is that now you can sort of see the rest of this more clearly. And it just makes it easier. I mean, this was such a distraction, having this chunk here.
So should we take a vote on what we should do? So he does, you don't
I
have to
mean, I
wait.
hate to say it, but do we
are not the
really know what to
experts,
do?
exactly.
We're paying Nelson Pope to guide us.
So we'll vote to let you use your judgment, has it?
Yes, yes.
All right, so I will talk to Rusty further about the plowing and the tilling. I still think we should take one section, if that's sort of and I'll talk to Ariel, it's the best manner, if they have the right equipment. And if we rented it, and if they had somebody who could,
If not, Billy Johnson should.
oh, that's right.
I don't know if he's still doing it, but he might.
I just thought of Sylvester Manning, because, anyway, and then I'm still waiting for the cost for the steam method, which I have a feeling is gonna be exorbitant.
But that might be a method you use in another area where you can't do plowing.
No, the steaming would work best for this, because you've got a monoculture of one thing you want to get right. And it's not selective, you're just literally going in and wiping out everything.
So we could, what you wanted to do is to create a model to see how these different systems work with cardboard versus
Well,
steaming.
we can.
So can't we just do a section like that over here?
That's-
And I know what you're concerned about, that there's some good stuff there, but since it gets to be difficult and maybe you lose some good stuff, but you finally get it turned over and we kill the mugworts by just starting with that.
Well, there's no mugwort over here.
Well,
Here.
yes.
So this is, yeah, I don't care, I mean, in the end, I just want a method to get rid of the mugwort.
Right.
Unless we have to get rid of the mugwort, otherwise eventually all of this becomes mugwort.
So maybe we should just break it up into a couple of pieces.
Well, that's what I'm suggesting, you know, if we want to do the tilling, we take one whole big section and do that. And then we try, you know, two other methods or three other methods here.
Okay.
We could do it that way.
I think what the highway department wants to, you know, I think the thing that's less time consuming, because once you get it under control, it should be better. It just seems like it's lingering a little bit here to get it to some level, okay?
It is, because all we've done is just cut it back.
Right, and then
We're not gonna-
unfortunately, go back in, and so we're back to cutting again, okay?
Yeah, I mean, we will be, but while we're cutting this for the next 30 years, it's gonna keep creeping,
Yeah.
you know, into other areas, so, we need to
No,
actually,
we've got to take an
we need to
action.
wipe it out.
Yes.
So,
Let's do it.
so what I will do is, I will go back to Rusty, because he wanted me to talk to all of you first. And I'll ask more about the plowing method. I will contact, if that seems like a really, I'll let you all know. If that seems like the best method for a big area, I will talk to Sylvester Manor and see what they can do. And then, if we want to, and this looks like a small area here on the map, it's actually quite a big area. But we could take two other methods, cardboard and tarps, and try that here. We also have a big problem here. So, you know, there's a lot, I mean, all of this, literally all of this has to be dealt with. It's almost like,
It's about half the property.
it's almost half the property. But, you know, we can start now. I think we probably, before we, but if we put tarp down or cardboard down, we need to cut it down as close to the ground as possible. So we have to go back in again and just really cut it low. But the good news is that now we can see what's here. So we don't have to worry about the quail or the turtles, because we can see it.
The turtles are hibernating, when do they hibernate?
Oh, I don't know, November, December?
So we have no issue if we turn over here.
No, because also we can see what's here, and there's not, yeah, that was the other thing, Rusty said maybe we want to turn it over in the fall, I said, no, we can't do that, because if there's any kind of chance any turtle's gonna hibernate in here, we don't want that possibility. So if we want to turn it over, we need to do it like in August, when there's absolutely no chance of that happening. I might add one thing, because I put on a Tyvek suit and walked through all the mugwort, just to sort of do spot checking all through the whole area. There is not a single thing living in there.
Right.
I saw one or two moths, that was it. No insects, nothing. It's a dead zone. So it's a completely worthless plant for habitat.
Okay, we
So
should
where
move
are we
on.
leaving off? We're leaving
So
off with,
we're gonna lead off with, I'm gonna talk to Rusty again today about the tilling. And if he really feels that's like the number one way to go, I'll contact Sylvester Manor. And I'll ask him for more details about the cardboard. Apparently you can buy rolls of cardboard. And I'll ask him about the tarps. Actually, he said that they have tarps. So I don't know if they want to lend us tarps. I will ask him that.
Who has tarp, Sylvester? Mann?
No, sorry, Nelson Pope Voorhees
Right.
has tarps. And then I'll also do a little research about locust dump killing. Okay.
where are we with Nelson Pope right now? He's only done phase one?
Actually, I just got an invoice and I just have to look at it more closely. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Another invoice.
So we're getting into phase two of his,
Well, the next phase is actually a plan that actually tells you what to do over a number of years.
okay,
So for instance, that area up to the right on West Neck, which has a lot of trees in it right now, each of these sections then become phases where you do specific things and plant specific species in those areas. But it also depends on, what we get rid of. I mean, if the mugwort gets killed in one area, then the meadow can be expanded into that
now
area.
the separation of the evergreens, the trees that are condensed there.
Well,
So the tree digger reached out to me and would still like to do something, but that's a fall project at this point.
So we're gonna do it this fall?
I hope so,
Okay,
because those trees are getting rather large now.
exactly, okay. And now the trees, the plant, where are we, what's the outcome of where we're moving them
To be
to?
determined.
well, I mean, some of those should go to Goat Hill along West Neck Road to replace the ones that died. And then if it's up to Goat Hill and what you think, because of the concern there was the golf balls flying across the road and hitting the houses. So that was the original reason for putting evergreens along the road there.
I think the only thing that concerns me there is the soil's not the greatest, which I think may have contributed to the loss of those trees.
Which did?
The soil right there, very sandy, very.
The problem is those trees came from Pennsylvania where they were grown in clay. Then they went in the ground and they actually weren't watered a lot, which also was a problem. But I think these trees have already been growing here. The soil is different at West Neck, but it may work out better than getting trees from somewhere else and putting them in there.
And we're looking for a few boundary trees over at Crab Creek,
Correct.
right? To clarify that,
property.
the lineal line, okay, the properties, okay? Are we gonna use any of the trees around the West Neck Preserve?
That wasn't my thought.
Are you leaving any of them there?
Oh, yeah, no, they're gonna stay there.
How many? There aren't that many, are there?
Oh, there's a lot, there's more than you think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Some have disappeared, which I think became some like Christmas trees over the last year.
Which is great.
no, they're part of the preserve. They may not be native, but they're part of the preserve, and I see a lot of birds in there. One thing I do, do you have a weed wrench? A weed wrench?
Never heard of that. What is that?
It's like this big wrench, and you like a wrench, you put it around like a small sapling or something, and then you tighten it around the base of the sapling, and then it's got this long pole, and you just pull like this, and it pulls the sapling out of the ground.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's called excavator. Excavator.
Because around the evergreens, there's porcelain vine now growing, and it's growing actually on top of the evergreen.
I see that.
So I was talking to Rusty about getting rid of that, and he said, you need a weed wrench, which they have. I went online, and I'll ask Dan and Fred Hyde if they have it by any chance. I just want to borrow one and see how it works or not
Okay.
before actually buying one.
Sorry, I have to get
Okay.
order the meeting.
Thank you, Brian.
Just before
Thank you.
before you leave, okay, since you're not going to be here, I'm going to show some slides, okay, over at West Neck and the bench that you folks did, okay, we don't give enough credit to certain groups of people here, and I think the highway department, okay, the workmanship and what they've done, you're going to be quite amazed at what
Yeah, they did a great job, and they came out.
between your group is really to be appreciated, okay? And we're really fortunate that to have your gang of people, and it's just wanted to say thank you, that's all I.
Thank you. I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I just do, since we're on this subject, just if we can call up that, because I had a couple of questions for them. to sort of run by you. First of all, right now, one question I had was, what are these white areas? Are these paths? And they actually did kind of consider this as sort of a path to nowhere. But I don't want these paths. If the question is, this is like a wooded area, this is like a sort of shrubby area, and then it sort of goes to meadow area. The question is, do we just want this to be one area with no path here or here? Again, they sort of imagined an informal path connecting this area to this area. But I don't know that we need all of those. And also, I obviously don't want, or we don't want, anything that goes directly out to the roads where people are parking here and here thinking this is an entrance. Really should make this the entrance, and then people have to sort of stay within the preserve. This is a place to sit and look at the meadow. It's sort of a high point, and you're looking down. Again, there was like a little opening here, so I wanted it to be absolutely clear that people are not supposed to park here and then walk to the place to sit. So I asked them to close this off and then move this bench closer to the trail here. So you're walking on the trail, then you can sit. Up here is an information kiosk, which sort of explains what all the plants are in this whole area. So the question is, and again, there's an opening here. And these openings are apparently sort of accidental. It's just to delineate different areas. But to me, it looks like an opening. So I asked them to not have those openings. But the question is, do we want to have a kiosk up here, sort of like at Mashamak, where you're looking at like a swampy area. It explains all the mud turtles, everything else that's living in that area and what plants are there. Or you just want to have one kiosk here that explains everything. And by that time, people can actually use their cell phones, get all the information they want, or we can have, brochures explaining everything.
QR codes.
QR codes, exactly.
Right, if it's a different environment over to the right, then you could just have a different QR.
Just have a QR code over here instead of having a kiosk.
Yeah.
That's what I think. This is an informal trail right now that goes through here. And the question is, you want to just keep this? It's not as.
I thought we talked about this before, and aren't essentially most of those lines just Rusty's designation of the different areas, and then we decided there was basically one big loop?
Yeah, it's really one big loop. And the question was, do we want to have this be a separate sort of loop, or is this just the loop? I think the way it is now.
Yeah, we had talked about making that one loop a handicap accessible.
So here's the other thing, which you might want to think about is, this, except for one area, I think it's here and here. This is actually very adaptable to ADA. You could literally do the entire loop. And then these two areas here would very easily have to be adjusted. The slope is a little rough, but otherwise the entire area can be ADA if that's something that we want.
I think we definitely should spend money on that.
Pardon?
I think we definitely should have that.
For the entire
I mean,
area.
because none of the other properties have that.
Either for the entire one or just the one.
Yeah, we originally talked about the ADA being where the parking is, yes, it was easy for someone to get out and then just do this kind of a.
You can, I know.
And
but
then
I'm
you
just-
can always expand it later on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, can go any way you want. So do you want, should I get a price for just this loop first? I mean, I think it's by the foot anyway, or I don't know how it works. So, once we knew what it was, you can figure out exactly how much it's gonna cost to do the rest of it.
I think we'll work with the small piece, just let's get a little piece in, that
Okay.
one little loop for the time.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's fine, but I would also keep these open, where the old road was.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to walk through.
Yeah, that's gonna be open. Yeah, this is the old road.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that was it.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, back to the agenda, it was late, okay, here we go. You left off with the acquisition plan. You've been beating this around for a while now. I've made all the comments that I think I want to make, okay, relative to this plan. Anybody else has anything they want to add? I know that you're looking to move this thing forward, okay?
Yeah, so work session.
The objections that I had, were the wells, okay? So I don't know how the language will be reading, okay? And,
Really, I thought we left it last time, if I may say, that I needed a map. You were working on that?
I gotta have, well, we use Brand Johnson to make the map because we have to include some of the properties that weren't on the map. So I'm gonna try to get him this week, okay? We have a map, but I don't have them specifically for those areas, okay? And the only other thing was when I did go through, time consuming, I went through on the target priority list, okay? Some of them, like, I don't, like, there's one here, it was, let me show you this, where is this one here? This was 55 Cobbets, that was Oriole Farms, okay? That's not gonna be broken up, it was there because it was bigger property, so I think.
And
that-
he's done something to
Yes, yeah,
keep it together.
he's expanded, he has,
No, but he's done some sort of land preservation thing that you do.
So remove.
I think so, yes, okay. And hold on a second here, we got that. The other one was item number 6, which is 20C Ram Island Road. Okay, that is, it's owned by Robert. Okay, it's Robert.
Yes.
Okay, it's right next to our landlocked piece, the Quaker property. Okay. He's developing it, it's for his family, so I don't see it really being something. We did talk to him way back when about something of an easement, and we never got further with it. We were looking, because we
Right,
don't
I
have
remember.
access, okay,
Right.
so. But in terms of it being a target, I don't think that's going to be one of them, okay? And let me just see where the other one that I picked.
He's going to build a house.
So many of these are in families, and so there's been, some estate planning with some of these properties. If that's the criteria, that they're likely to be available, or I thought this was just a wish list, but I just want to know from, just to know. If they're on a wish list, whether or not your dreams can come true, I don't know, but, they would be great properties to acquire. I thought that's what this was, not likely. But I don't know.
But it's not going to be acquirable because he's going to develop it, so that's why it's off.
That's why that's all. Okay, so
It's basically at number 6 and well, it's not number 6, so it's,
there's nobody to add? No other ones you'd like to add here?
Did you want to put the Polinick in? Joe?
oh, we have Polinicky in there. Okay,
Is it?
it's
Okay.
still there, okay. And the only other, everybody's had a chance to look at this, okay?
Right.
So the only other thing that And I'm not,
Got to bring mine.
my biggest issue was the wells. And we're only, that, it's in there that basically you're looking for preservation to look for pulling water from preserved land. Am I reading that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, I always find that a little,
Yeah, I know, I noted that, and I think that when the town board discusses this in a work session.
Right.
To not depend on my interpretation of your words, that you should come and make that statement and that argument, because it's important.
other than that, that's the only question. Everybody's had a chance to look at it and put their input into it, so that's where we are. And again,
An email.
this is still a living document, so at some given time, if it needed to be modified, okay,
Of course.
of course, it could be modified, okay, right? So,
BJ needs the map, right?
Yeah, that's the last thing. And yeah, I'm glad that I move forward with this journey.
Tim, you talked about the West Neck, okay, let's go back to my PowerPoint, and let's go back to the White Preserve, so everybody has an overview of what's happening here. Okay, that's the parking area,
Looks nice.
okay?
Looks great, yes.
And
Thanks. Thank you.
okay, so what we've done, okay, our parking, this is the parking area, okay? And this thing can accommodate 8 or 10 cars here, okay? So it's a little bit of an overkill. But there was a drain in here, which was basically, we really didn't pick up until later on. It was on another page. So when we really got into it, they insisted on having a drain. I wasn't going back to the planning board to try to change anything. So we did, in fact, have to put a couple of rings in here. But we did, right now, we put topsoil on the section, the road going in. There's topsoil in this area right here and here and along the perimeter. Okay, so we're gonna reseed it with grass, and we're gonna do just a few plantings around the back. Bert White lives on the property next door to it. He has offered to help out in plantings and so forth. That's basically it. If you go to the next slide, here's the man and Brian, these guys work really, it's really interesting. I spent the morning with them there, and they did a great job, okay? And they did the whole thing from beginning to end, and so it's all graded correctly. We can't say enough about our town highway group, okay? They did a great job. So it's done. Now, our issue now is we have to start working on our signage, and we have to get our stewardship plan in place. The White family created some signage, which I thought was very tastefully done, okay, which was basically to keep the walkers through the property not infringing on their land, okay? But we have to get our stewardship, and the parking is there. On lots 8 and 9, which are off of Simpson, okay, one's off of Simpson and one is off of South Menantic. Okay, Brian is going to go in there to clean that spot, clean the trail going all the way through, meaning right now it's overgrown. So we can't connect from where this parking area is. You have to go on the outside on Menantic and walk down to get into those spots. So we're just going to do a 6-foot path. It's going to be mowed, a small little sign, and parking will be on the curb. We're not creating any more parking. That's what it'll be. Okay, so that's where we are. But it's,
That's great.
the guys did a good job.
It looks
okay?
fabulous.
Gordon, can you just go back to the first slide that showed the areas where they're gonna seed?
Yep.
So This is gonna be grass here?
Yep.
And here?
Yep.
So when you asked me about the plantings, it's really on
Just,
this area?
yes,
And just to get our bearings, so where is the road that you drive in? Which way is it?
right here.
It's coming in perpendicular to this?
The road's.
At an angle.
Okay, but you gotta come into the property. It's really where the gravel road ends off. Okay, on Artist Lane. It ends here.
Property.
There will go into the parking there. Everything else is pedestrian walking. The cars are not to be traveled on any further. No vehicle traffic in the preserve. But just to create a little buffer there, some natural plantings, just something, okay?
I would just put bayberry in there.
The sign probably,
Idea.
the sign should say, no
This
vehicle.
is not the finish, this is not the finish. Now, this is the gravel that's on top. The whites have to take care of some drainage basins that are there for the planning board because the soil is going inside of them. But everything is going to be coated with crushed stone. It'll be like a whitish color, so it won't be as industrial. It'll look very nice. Okay, it's more than enough, and I think it's a great, keeping the cars off. We'll have to have some kind of a sign off of North Menantic, South Menantic, for the preserve. It'll be a sign like we've used before with the county, but it's pretty, every time I walk the property, it's more special than the next.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the history of it is so lovely too.
And, okay. And the only other thing is, so let's get done with that, and let's go back to the green options. We did have a list of who was participating on green
I
options.
forgot my time, the time I was supposed to.
Okay, I think we had them in,
The, what is it, 20,
August, Tim, August.
Saturday, August 26th, from 11 to 3. And it's going to be behind the school,
Right.
entrance on Duval Road.
On Duval.
And I'm not going to be at the table.
You what?
I will not be at this table. I won't be at the CPF.
CPF table.
Yeah, I won't be at the CPF table.
Well, since we're all here, 11, Kathleen, you offered,
I can't do it this
can't
year.
do it. Kathy, you offered it in the morning, as I recall.
Yeah, now you have the stuff, right?
I have all the stuff, yeah.
So what I could do is go to your house, pick up the stuff with you.
No, I'm gonna set the booth up.
Oh, you are?
I'm gonna bring it
Oh.
down. I just need somebody to man the.
All right, so why don't I do 11 to 12? You want me to-
How about 11 to 1? Julie, what do you said you might be available.
Yeah, I should be available.
Which one do you want to do?
1 to 3, I guess.
I guess.
What are we setting up?
Joe, you're not around?
I'll be there.
All right, so what do I have to sit there for 2 hours? How about 1.5 hours?
So,
Yeah, like 9, 8.
I was gonna be there at 9:30, but I think I'll be there at 9. And actually, what's gonna end up happening is originally, the expo was gonna be separated from the craft fair a little bit. I mean, but now Janelin wants us to actually be all together. I mean, we're not gonna be intermingled with different booths. We'll have our own section, the expo section.
And we're gonna enter from where the tennis courts are.
We're gonna enter from Duval.
Right.
Yep, and you can pull right up to and I will have the tables, and I just have to locate,
They're changing the whole location.
pardon?
Whole location's different.
Yeah, we had to because, well, the reason is because the school was doing the
sorry,
A system.
Right, yeah.
And even though they're probably gonna be finished, the grass won't have grown in. It'll be
Right.
fine. And I decided, to stick with whatever Janelin does and not be in a completely different location.
Gotcha.
It would just be confusing for everybody.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's actually a great location.
Okay.
Shoot. I have a,
Oh, so I know I talked to you about the maps, the brochures. I didn't come pick them up. I meant to ask.
We brought them here, okay, I'll check with them, I'll check with
I
the,
don't think they have any, but I'll,
okay.
yeah.
I have one box left.
It's just for you and Taylor's Island wants some.
Is Brand Johnson going to update the maps for this?
Yes.
Yeah, for this expo.
We should have it done, I'm printing it. Now, am I correct, the town does have a large format color printer, is that
I
correct?
think it does, yeah, I think Joe has it.
Joe has it, so he can print some of our stuff, like I've been printing big pieces or maps and so forth on my printer, okay? But if the town has it, okay,
Email Joe.
I'm in now. I'll email Joe for you.
okay.
Oh, speaking of maps and printing out, so Gordon and Kathy printed out a large version of the map I was showing for West Deck. It's really nice and glossy, and I put it in the kiosk.
Yeah, so that, so you're gonna do 1 to 3?
What's that?
Sure.
Okay, all right, so
Hang until we,
let's just continue here with this, to go through this, okay?
Yeah.
So Julie, where
I was not at the last meeting, however, the town board has passed a resolution to increase the amount that we can reimburse folks back up to, I believe, where it was before, 12,000. I mean, that you don't automatically get that, it's based on your expenses and the county and state reimbursement, as well as additional money for relocation, and also, I think, for the pressurized system. Yeah. And then also, we're working on targeting the center to get folks there to get on board with doing this and offering assistance, which you two folks have offered to help the WQI with, to get more folks on board. So there's a target mailing going to go out in the reasonably near future.
But people aren't going to do it unless they get a huge amount of financial help.
Well, this is big.
it should cover their costs.
Should cover everything.
Okay, good.
And then the
Wouldn't
next,
have covered mine.
well, not everyone is the same, but
I'm just saying.
in general,
Right, so the target, just to fill in a little bit here too, if I may, we sent out 500 of cards to people in the center saying, want your water tested for free, sign up. So we got 160 responses, that's good. And they're spread nicely throughout the triangle, so it really ought to give us a good idea of what the extent of the nitrate problem. That's all happening, by the end of the month, those tests will be done. Those test results will never come to the town, they'll get mailed back to the people. The testing company will map it out in a non-identifiable way, nitrate levels in the core there, so that people's privacy is not violated. When they get their test results, in that will be a card, another card, saying clean water is 1 flush away, sign up here for your IA system.
right.
And we'll help you do that, and here is all the grants that we'll help you file for. So I think this is what we've been talking about, for a few months now, in terms of stepping up the outreach so that, we have more IAs in the ground this time next year,
Yep.
right?
And the new amounts are gonna pretty much cover.
Based on the average of what we see people spending, should generously cover
The
everything.
possibility from the town now is a total of 21,000 per application,
And then there's the county and
And
state.
state.
another 20.
It's great.
okay. So, okay, that's it?
That's it.
Okay. Part of old business, if you just bring the slides up for one more time for the Nick Moorhead facility, I just want to see, I think that's the next one. Yeah, here we go. That's what it looks like, guys.
Very nice.
Okay, nice. Okay, and if you go to the next slide, you'll see why it's beautiful. Okay, so very, very nice to see, Cliff sent me this picture because the bench had been missing, so now it's logged down, okay, they can't move it. I've been dealing with the school, and so that this is mahogany. So I'm asking the school kids that made the bench, that they come out on a yearly basis and coat the bench, because it's wood, it's going to be needing some maintenance, but it's very nice. It's a flagstone, it's wonderful. And if anybody went to the christening of the new boat, the Moorhead, that was also a wonderful event. But anyhow, very happy people, okay? You got new business, okay, there, we wanted to include this ethics code, I think. Catherine, you passed that out, the ethics code?
It should be in the
Everybody-
It is, yep,
Okay, so I guess anybody can mail this back in or email it in.
yeah, because we have to read it first.
Okay.
I don't have it.
It's like a whole bunch of pages.
Looks like this.
I can leave a copy of somebody else's. I'll do it that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Read this and have it back in a week.
I don't know how important is this, BJ, in the board? I mean, within a week is fine?
Ethics.
Oh, that.
I think if everybody can have it in within a week, that'd be
Yeah.
great, okay? The other item on new business that I just wanted to just get an understanding, the last meeting we talked about the archery on St. Gabe's, okay? I have no idea what's going on there, so perhaps, and you weren't aware of archery on it, so I'm assuming that you probably can update us as to what the arrangement made? No,
It's administrative, I just. Go through the department.
okay, so, okay, because obviously there's some, I've dealt with them, but I'm curious, like, can CPF be aware of this in the future? Like, I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I've had a conversation with Bethany too, about them.
Okay,
And you can have a conversation with Bethany about that.
I know, but it just,
So, I don't know why I have to be in there, you could just converse with Bethany, because she's recreational.
well, if it's CPF property and the town board is approving the usage of the land for something, wouldn't it be just appropriate that we should just be
She
said?
came to the town board.
But he doesn't know to go to Bethany in the future. He doesn't know who's going to use
Yep.
it. So how is it, what's a conduit to tell you? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that somebody from the town is approving CPF land to be used for different
It's town
things.
land, though. It's also town land, is it not?
It is, but,
It's a big open grass field.
right, but it just makes sense. I agree with Gordon. It
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense that we should be aware of when a group wants to use, because the neighbors.
Thanks, Kathy.
But so we get caught in the middle of this confusion. And I'm 100% behind releasing the quail. But again, it would have been helpful just to know that they were releasing some of the town reserves ahead of time, so we were aware of it. So I just think there should be a channel by which, if people are going to do things with these preserves, there should be a formal way of us knowing.
The other part,
You were knowing, but I have a short timer here, so
No, I know, but
So I'm kind of saying also, if it doesn't have the communication that you're looking for,
Mhm.
so please follow up, with the specific
well, we are.
people I know. That I'm just giving.
No.
you a heads up for the-
I know,
for the
but I
future,
just
that
I think
Proactiveness would be really appreciated.
because there may be other uses that maybe are not so great, so,
Yeah.
we should know that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think,
well, I think in this whole issue there it's not one of saying, I'm not saying that the property shouldn't be used for anything. We're just saying that if we're using it for something, whether, somebody in the town board is approving, people just don't come along and do it on their own.
The rec department could do it on their own. They don't go to the
No,
town
no.
board every time they do something.
Yes, they did in this particular case. They went to the town board. They went to somebody in the town. They went to the town attorney. Okay, and all I'm saying to you is that I just, rather than us taking a phone, there are people who don't want to talk. So what do? They pick up the phone and say, hey, Gordon, what's going on over here? I have no idea. Okay? And of course and of course I drive there and, you know, Julia is very open there, but I don't know what the arrangements were for parking. I don't know what I just think that you must have had, somebody must have said, okay, you got to make sure you park on the
I didn't
apron.
even know about it, so I.
Well, I know
I
just,
just
No, I know.
put it out there in the town.
I know, but I think
That you like this-
what we're just asking is if there should be some sort of
I don't know.
formalizing in some way.
I think that, I have brought this up with Bethany,
Yeah,
and I think that's the step I should have taken. Now, if you can think of another step, I'll bring it up again with her, but if you can think of another step I should take, you know, just that
I
this
think-
communication, I think comes from her. But then you have the Clarks, they're kind of doing quail, but they're not really coming through the town on that. They're.
no, I know.
So how do we, how do I understand what you're asking, and I think why. I'm not being obstructionist, I
No, I
just
know
don't
that.
see a path.
I know that. No, I understand that.
DJ, you're saying that people just do this and you really bypass the town board? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying this town board person did not know about archery.
No,
I'm saying I knew the quails were gonna be released, and I didn't think that, that's a CPF issue, I just thought, oh, great.
No.
I don't think everything has to go.
And again, I just want to be on the record, I think this is great.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying too, this is one of those topics that you just keep me up on with the periodic.
No.
And I've done what I've done, and I'll do it again, because it's important, make the contacts that you're asking me to make. But beyond that, I can't see a path forward for me here.
And I know, I think
And hope
we're,
that in the future it's followed up on.
I think we're just expressing
Yes.
a desire for,
I know, and I
in
heard
the, in the
last
future.
time. I heard it last time too. And followed up. So I don't know why it's again, but.
No.
I have nothing else for this meeting. Anybody want to add anything? Howard?
Yes, just make some short comments on the meeting. I have to go there.
Just to be seen.
My legs still. It's a couple of short comments.
State your name.
Howard Johansson.
Hi, Howie.
And I'm a member of the Conservation Advisory Council. Three things. First of all, any stewardship plan, I think we should be involved with.
Yep.
One thing is using cardboard to do anything. Years ago, we did that at Sylvester Manor, and the chemicals they use for the glue were detrimental to the soil, so I would just check that out.
I think if I understand correct, the glue to actually put the cardboard
Right.
together, like if you go to the recycling center and get boxes and take them apart. I think in this case, you're buying rolls of cardboard, so they're not actually glued together in any way. I can inquire.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
The other thing we're talking about is the paths in the different properties. And we had an informal meeting between the CPF, the Green Options, and the TICS Committee. And we were sort of going on a 10-foot wide path. Would be for safety for ticks and stuff like that. So maybe we should consider that. And also with the fires going around the world, it might be good to get fire apparatus into the center of woods and stuff. So I just would consider it.
What do you mean by that?
10 foot.
10-foot.
No, like a fire apparatus?
Yes, you know, like a truck getting in there if the
Oh, I
woods
got you,
go on
yeah.
fire or something like that. That the problem in Canada, they couldn't get to the fires, and we saw what happened in Hawaii, everybody, you know. It's something we have to consider, and thank God we've been getting rain lately, so we're sort of getting out.
It's a good case for controlled burnings too.
Yes.
Yeah, watch that, so.
Fires in the long run.
And, so for now, we'll get that, the paths. Thank you.
Howard, just one last thing, since we're talking, you know, obviously, we've had a lot of conversations over stewardship plans, and yes, you're going to be part of the You're going to look at it, we're looking for your input. That's a given issue, okay? Over on the white property, and there are other properties where we had we worked hard on a volunteer stewardship plan, okay? We have it in place, okay? And I got a phone call from someone who backs up to, well, actually stopped me in the park, backs up to that property, and she said, you know, we would like to help you out. We would like to work with you, okay? So I think it's getting to that period of time where we really should look and implement that plan, people, their eyes and ears in the community. We have it in place. It was approved by the town board, okay? I think it's time to do that, okay?
Maybe for the Green Expo, we would have
Sign up?
an information sheet on it. People come by, we could offer them, and get them to email you or somebody to
Right.
say, yes, I'm interested, and
It's a good
I
idea.
think, even the bird who lives on the corner there, he really would like to help out a little bit, however he can help out. So, and we have a lot of that going on now. People really want to participate, but it means implementing it. It means, they have no authority. They can't chase anybody off. They can't do any of that stuff. The way it was set up is that they make a phone call, the CPF of the issues, and they report on some kind of a regular basis of what's going on. Okay.
We had discussed that at the Manhattan Peninsula Association. And Anita Brush, who's the president, said she'd help out the
Right.
preserved lands and we're willing to help out.
Still,
That
needs
would
to
be
be-
good.
they put West Neck Preserve volunteer on agenda. So we're going to use our website for that, for West Neck. So,
West Neck.
yeah.
Yeah, because a couple of people have offered, and having volunteers, it would be great. And I'm happy to be there and
When can we do it?
supervise.
And just, I don't want to pull that trigger until you're ready to,
No, we're not quite ready yet, but we are,
but the word is out there, so.
yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Howard, just want, so like in West Neck, you want to, like the trail should be 10-foot wide, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying yes, because we had talked, as you know, with the Deer and Tick Committee,
Yeah.
Jim, about, walking through the trails, and it's better to have a 10-foot wide path. But, I mean, that's something we can discuss, so you can.
Well, what happens is you start with 10,
It grows.
it throws in you with 4. When you start with 4, you're winding up with 1. So we really have to make it that it's wider. And like even on the Lyman Bean Field, I mean, it's easier for them now to run a machine through, even though there are a lot of ticks there. Okay, but thank you, Howard. Any questions from the audience?
I just have one comment. I touched base with Shelby during the meeting, and she said that the auditors are just waiting for legal counsel to respond to their letters. They had to send one to Abigail Wickham and then the other thing that you guys use. So as soon as I get those letters back from them.
We have people on Zoom, anyone from Zoom that wants to voice an opinion or have some questions? This is the time.
Over there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, hi. Julia Brennan from the Shelter Island Gazette. At your last meeting, you talked about looking for definitions for 2 terms.
Yep.
And I don't know if you managed to incorporate them in the latest draft. One was for the definition of passive recreation, which would apply to St. Gabriel's. That was where that came up in the conversation. And the other was a definition of preservation of community character.
I actually went, forwarded to Gordon, he couldn't open it, so I'm going to have to go back to it. I wasn't aware that I was going to do one for passive recreation. I can.
I was just, it was a question that was raised and I just wondered if it got answered.
Well, let me figure out why he couldn't open the document I sent.
But it was a DEC,
Yeah, well, I forgot the source, but it was a state definition, not the one you read. But let me go find out where it was from. Why invent the wheel, And it was very comprehensive too. Passive recreation, okay.
thank you, Julie. Okay. Anyone from the public, Zoom? Other than that, okay,
Can I just clarify something before they go off? I just want to clarify, when I talked about dealing with the black locust stumps, that using an herbicide is a possible method. I am not saying that's something we are using. I just want to be clear.
Right.
okay.
Maybe your weed whacker would
Yes, my,
now.
Can
No, I'm
we
serious.
to close adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
See ya.
Do you have a executive session?
Yes.